Wait, so you guys have sent a ton of articles about like this whole TikTok ban thing happening in the US.
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, it's like on the one hand you've got viral dances, right?
Yeah.
And pickle chefs.
Yeah.
And on the other, you've got this like looming legal battle that could change, everything.
Definitely.
So I think today we really need to unpack all of it, from
Yeah.
like the recent court decision to how the politicians are reacting
Mm-hmm.
and, what this could mean for anyone who uses TikTok, for creators or honestly just anyone following the saga.
Yeah, what's so fascinating to me is how this goes way beyond just like an app.
Yeah.
It's like free speech versus national security. It's like
Well,
international relations all playing out on social media.
it's like a techno thriller, but in real life.
Yeah, totally.
And the future of like online culture is, hanging in the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the center is this law that's like designed to either force TikTok to be sold to a US company or just ban it completely.
Yeah.
And it's all because of these concerns about it being owned by, a Chinese company and what that means for national security.
It's a big deal. And we actually have some breaking news here, too,
Oh, okay.
in the form of like these articles about a court decision that just came out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so let's dive right into that court decision first, I think.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Because this is a big one. TikTok lost its appeal, and things aren't looking so good right now for the app.
Okay, so what happened exactly?
So a federal appeals court upheld this law that we were just talking about, right?
Right.
And their reasoning is super important here. They basically said that the law was written very, very carefully to tackle this very specific threat of foreign control,
Okay.
particularly from China.
So they're like directly naming China as a national security threat.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a bold statement from the court.
Yeah, it is. And it kind of reflects how the political climate is right now. But, TikTok's not going down without a fight.
Yeah.
They're taking this all the way to the Supreme Court now.
Oh, wow.
And they're saying that this law is messing with the free speech rights of its 170 million U.S. users.
170 million users.
Yeah.
That's not just a number, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a massive voting block.
Exactly.
And, you can bet that the politicians are aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Like it makes you wonder how much those user numbers will actually matter when it comes to national security concerns.
Definitely. And that brings us to, like, another layer of this whole saga, the Trump factor.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Donald Trump, the same guy who tried to ban TikTok back in 2020, right?
Yeah,
Just won the 2024 election.
he did.
And he has already said that he wouldn't let this ban happen.
Mm-hmm.
So will he actually go against what he said before?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a head scratcher.
It is. It really is. It's like you have all these forces pulling in opposite directions, Yeah.
So like on one side, you have this like strong bipartisan, anti-China sentiment in Congress.
Right.
They really want to see TikTok gone.
Right.
But then you have Trump, who might see this as like a chance to show off his power,
Oh, yeah.
and maybe even win over some younger voters who love TikTok.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah.
It's a tough spot for him.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how he plays this.
Me too. But, in all of this political back and forth,
Yeah.
it's important to think about the people this will directly affect, right?
Literally.
Like the users, the creators.
Yeah,
Like their whole world could be flipped upside down.
absolutely.
And speaking of users, we found this really interesting story about this TikTok creator named Tiffany Cianci.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a small business advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's made it super clear that she is not going anywhere, even if TikTok gets banned.
Wow.
Yeah, she refuses to move to another platform.
Which I think is a really powerful statement about the loyalty and like the sense of community that you find on TikTok.
Yeah, for sure.
For lots of people, it's way more than just an app.
Yeah.
It's a way to make money. It's a creative outlet. It's like their connection to the rest of the world.
I mean, that brings up a huge question, right? Like,
Yeah.
what happens to all of that if TikTok goes away?
Right.
Will, like, Instagram and YouTube just take over?
Right.
Will they be able to fill that void?
Yeah. I mean, is it that easy?
Well, one of the analysts, Corey Johnson, he says that TikTok is successful for a reason.
Okay.
It's not just about the catchy videos. Like,
Yeah.
it's driven by this crazy advanced AI,
What's interesting.
and their recommendation engine. Like, it's way ahead of everyone else.
Really?
And to copy that, like, the other companies would have to completely change their systems.
Wow.
Like, massive technical stuff.
So even if TikTok gets banned, it sounds like it'll be hard for other platforms to get like that same magic, that thing that keeps users coming back for more.
Yeah, it's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle, right?
Right.
Like this perfect mix of algorithms, creators, and the community. It's hard to recreate that.
So this AI aspect is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Can we dive into that a bit more?
Totally.
What exactly is it about their recommendation engine that's so different?
Okay, so imagine a system that can analyze, like, not just what you watch, but like your emotional responses, your viewing patterns, and even what you'll want to watch next.
That's wild.
Right. TikTok's AI goes way beyond just, who you are on paper.
Uh-huh.
It's tapping into your, like, subconscious,
Yeah.
really sophisticated stuff.
It's kind of creepy but cool at the same time.
Right.
Like, it knows us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
So no wonder people are so obsessed with it.
Exactly. And to get to this level of personalization, like, it takes so much data,
Right.
powerful algorithms.
Yeah.
You need to, like, understand human psychology.
Wow.
So copying TikTok is not just about copying its features.
So even if TikTok just vanishes,
Yeah.
it sounds like another platform couldn't just like pop up and replace it.
Yeah.
There's so much happening behind the scenes.
So much.
But okay, so now I'm curious about this whole data thing.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean for our privacy?
Right.
Especially given the whole thing about TikTok being owned by, a Chinese company.
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Mhm.
And we're going to get into that right after the break.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, so we talked about like the legal side of things, right? And the whole Trump thing.
Yeah.
And even the super advanced AI behind TikTok.
Yeah, it's wild.
But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. The data.
Definitely.
Like one of the biggest worries about TikTok is, could China get access to our data?
Yeah, and that's where things get kind of complicated.
Okay.
So China does have these laws, right? That could force companies like ByteDance.
Which is TikTok's parent company.
Yeah, exactly, to hand over data to them if they ask.
So wait, is our data actually at risk then?
Potentially, yeah.
And then what kind of data are we even talking about here?
Right.
Is it just the videos we post?
It's way more than that.
Really?
Imagine like a government being able to see, not just what you post,
Yeah.
but what you're watching.
Oh, wow.
How long you watch it for.
Okay.
What you like, what you share.
Wow.
Even like what your face looks like while you're watching.
Oh, come on.
They can see that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the kind of data TikTok collects.
Wow.
And they can use it to build like super detailed profiles about you.
That's a little unsettling, honestly.
It
It's like they're looking right into our, our digital soul.
kind of is.
And what if that data falls into the wrong hands, right?
Yeah.
The potential for them to misuse it is like huge.
Yeah, it is. And this connects to this like bigger anxiety about how social media can be manipulated,
Right.
Like think about what Elon Musk did with what was it? Twitter X.
Yeah. Yeah.
He messed with the algorithms to help out certain people, basically, to
Yeah.
control what people see.
So are you saying that China could do the same thing with TikTok?
It's a possibility, yeah.
Instead of showing funny dances and recipes, they could be pushing like propaganda and fake news
Yeah, that's the worry.
to control what people think.
Exactly. Corey Johnson, that analyst we talked about before, he compares it to that.
Huh.
If China can control what we see on TikTok,
Right.
it's a really powerful tool, not just in China,
Wow.
but everywhere.
It's like digital puppetry.
Yeah, kinda.
But couldn't our government like demand some safeguards
Right.
or like oversight
Yeah.
to stop that from happening?
They're trying, but it's really hard to control these algorithms,
Yeah.
especially something as complicated as TikTok's. And then, how much control is too much? Like, does that mess with free speech?
That's a good point.
It's a really, really tough balance.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory.
It is.
This whole TikTok situation, it makes you think,
Yeah.
about like what's next for social media,
Yeah.
like how much power should governments have over these tech companies?
Right.
And what about our privacy?
It's a lot to take in.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're just starting to, wrap our heads around how these algorithms work
Yeah.
and how they can be used.
Yeah,
for good or bad.
totally. So where do we go from here?
I know, right?
Right.
Like, we've got this legal battle going on.
Yeah.
And Trump being unpredictable,
Mhm.
and then these huge concerns about data and people being manipulated.
It's a lot.
I feel like this is like a make or break moment.
I think the one thing that is clear is that this is not over.
Yeah.
Like, the Supreme Court has to make a decision.
Right.
Trump could change his mind. And even if TikTok does get banned,
Yeah.
like, the impact is going to be huge.
On everything.
Yeah, I think this is a turning point. Not just for TikTok,
Yeah.
but for the whole internet.
Like, what happens next could change how social media works forever.
Yeah, like, it makes you wonder, what would the world even look like without TikTok?
Right.
Would we just see a bunch of copycats trying to, like, take its place?
Yeah.
Or would we see something completely new?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
But even if another app could, like, kind of capture what makes TikTok special,
Yeah.
would it really be the same without the people? You know?
Right.
Like, those millions of creators and that amazing community.
Totally.
It feels like we might lose something really special.
Yeah.
That creative energy,
Yeah.
where anyone could go viral.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that just disappearing.
I know. It shows how powerful these apps are, right?
Yeah.
Not just for, like, entertainment, but, like, as cultural forces.
It's a bit overwhelming when you think about it that way.
It is. It is. And that makes this TikTok debate even more important. Like,
Right.
we're not just talking about an app.
Right.
This is about the future of, like, digital culture.
Exactly.
And the big question is, how do we balance national security
Yeah.
with free speech in this digital age?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
There are no easy answers. It's something we all have to think about.
Definitely.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given you a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And remember, like, this is just the start of the conversation.
Oh, for sure.
The TikTok story isn't over yet.
Right.
This will have effects for years to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah.
How do we balance national security and free speech online?
Right.
What do you think a world without TikTok would look like?
Let us know.
Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, it's tough, right?
It is.
Like, on the one hand, there's the risk, right, to national
Oh.
security, and we have to worry about our data and all that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, TikTok is, like, it's huge.
It is.
It's become this, like, cultural phenomenon.
Totally.
So is there a way to address the concerns without, completely shutting it down?
Right. Like, is there a middle ground?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we find a way to make it safe but keep all the, the good stuff?
The creativity.
The voices, the fun?
Right.
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like finding that balance
Mm-hmm.
is, like, the key,
Uh-huh.
not just for TikTok, but for all of social media, really.
It's a turning point, I think, for the whole digital age.
It really is. And it makes me think about, like, Tiffany Cianci,
Yeah.
that TikTok creator we talked about.
Right.
Her story is, like, the human side of all of this.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to her?
Yeah.
What happens to all those creators and their communities?
Yeah, what about their jobs?
Yeah, if TikTok just goes away.
It's a huge question.
It is. It'll be interesting to see,
Uh-huh.
if they go to other platforms.
Right.
If those platforms can, like, keep that TikTok vibe going.
Yeah.
Or if something totally new pops up.
I'm kind of excited about the possibility of something new coming out of this.
Me too.
Like, what if there's an app that learns from all the mistakes?
Yeah.
And it's, like, built to protect privacy and be safe, but also keeps the creative energy.
Right, right. Like, could this whole thing be the push we need for something better?
Maybe.
It
It's like, that's the dream, right?
is. It's a utopian ideal.
Yeah.
But maybe this situation will make it happen.
I hope so. It just shows how fast things are changing online, right?
Yeah.
We have to be ready to adapt
Yeah.
and think critically about this stuff.
For sure.
And get involved in the conversation so we can make the internet better for everyone.
I think that's the perfect way to wrap this up. This whole deep dive into the TikTok ban has been,
A wild ride.
it really has. From the courts to the politicians.
Yeah.
To the really big questions about what's next for social media.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not over.
Not even close.
This story's just getting started.
You sure?
And the effects will be felt for years.
Yeah.
So as we, figure all of this out,
Mm.
it's important to remember we all have a role to play.
Stay informed.
Absolutely.
Keep having these conversations.
Yeah.
And really think about the choices you make online.
It matters.
The future of the internet. It's kind of up to us.
That's a great point. And on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.